Okay, in this video we're going to get to some fun stuff of setting up a camera and animating the camera. So,
Sorry. I thought you were talking to me.
so let's put this into two 3D viewports and let us turn on walls and doors and windows and some other stuff like that. And then we've already got a camera because Blender puts in a default camera into the scene, and I don't know where it is. There it is. So I hit the numpad delete or period key to focus in on that I'd selected here in the outliner. So here it is. It basically pointing at 0, 0, 0. I don't want it there. I want it over at my building. So I'm going to hit the G key and just move it over. And I'm going to raise it up. GZ. Okay, so now it's in this room, right, which I like. And then I'm going to set this viewport to be the view of the camera, and I'm going to do that by hitting the numpad 0 or insert key, and that's snapped this view to the camera. And if I move it, you can see it moves the viewport, so that's quite handy. So there's a few things we want to do first. First, we want to set the rotation of the X to 90 degrees. That makes it level. And then we can move it down to something more like eye level. And then let's move it back into this corner. And where do pipes go? Yeah, we turned this off, didn't we? Let's turn some more interesting looking stuff back on. And yeah. Okay. Oh, we're in. Yeah, we're not rendered. That's fine. And then so let's quickly explore some camera settings. So by default the focal length is 50 millimeters, which is kind of tight. I would say start at 35 millimeters as just kind of a default, and if you need to tweak it from there, go ahead and do that. But start with 35. Sometimes if I'm trying to get a real nice wide angle, I might go down to 24. Try not to get much lower than 24, because as you get really low, 13, 10, things start to get really weird and distorted, and it just doesn't look good. So let's stick for 35 millimeters for now. And we've got some depth of field things, which we won't get into in this tutorial, but it can be fun. That's pretty much it for this thing. The only other thing that you might notice is the clip start. And if you just scrub that, you see what that does, and then the clip end, also you can see what that does. So that's you can get some cool effects with this. If you wanted to see a slice of something, like sort of create a 3D section view. Like if we took this and we set the rotation in the Z to 0, point that way, and then so you could get kind of a cool 3D section view thing going on if you wanted just a slice of something. But something else that's nice is in this view, let's say I really wanted to see this view, you'll notice that the camera is outside of this wall right here, but I'm looking in because I've got this clip start to 20 feet or whatever. So if I just pull it right in, that means I'm seeing just inside this wall right here, which can be cool. It's a nice way of cheating. You can't do that with a real camera in the real world. So just note that, and we'll set this back up to something high and this to something low, like 5 feet, and we'll bring the camera back in to here. And now it's at this point that if you wanted to render this, let's say if you just wanted a still image of this, because you thought that looked cool, you just go up to the render, hit render image, and it'll think for a second. And it'll pop up with this rendered image, which you can come up here to image save as and save to your hard drive or something like that. So that's how you render. But what we want to do is we want to do some kind of animation. So let's actually, so this is where you can get creative. Depends on the story you're trying to tell. So for this one, what I'd actually like to do is I'm going to bring the camera out here, rotate it around, look at these loading dock doors, and I'm going to turn the doors off. And so you can kind of see, turn rendered on so I can see what that looks like. So you can kind of see like these chillers in here. Maybe we move it like that a little bit, rotate it. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. So you can kind of see something going on there, but you're not really sure. So let's start with this concept, and yeah, that looks fine. Really quickly, we're going to add a ground. So I just move the cursor over here, Shift A, Mesh. Let's put it someplace appropriate. Let's create a new collection, call it ground. Shift A, Shift A, Mesh plane, and then hit Tab to go into Edit mode. And move the cursor close to the object, hit S for scale, and then just pull it up. It's quite big, and then we can hit G and then Z, drop it down. So now I've got a ground, so our building's not completely floating. So that looks a little nicer. Okay, back to our camera. Here we are, we've got our camera selected, and we want to start animating it. So if you notice down here, this is a timeline. These numbers are frames. This is 100 frames in, this is 150 frames in. And remember, we've got our frame rate set to, it's right here somewhere, 30 frames per second. So this is 1 second, this is 2 seconds, this is 3 seconds, etc. And this is, you just click and drag, this is where the current frame is, which is right here. So click to 1. And then this is the frame range. So it's starting at frame 1 going to frame 250. Let's change that to 1000 real quick to give us some room to work with. Okay, so we've got our camera here, and we're going to set what is called a keyframe, which means telling this object where it is in space and time. So hit I and select Loc Rot, which stands for location and rotation. So we're keyframing the location, the XYZ coordinates, and the rotation, the XYZ rotation. So I, Loc Rot, and you'll see it has created these dots right here, which are the keyframes. And you can select it just like anything else, and you can move it around. For right now, we'll keep that at 1. And let's move that. Actually, let's zoom in. Let's move that to 10. And then we're going to move this scrubber guy over here to about 90, which is about 3 seconds in. And we're going to come in here and we're going to move the camera in. Let's go like this. About there. And we're going to hit the I key again. We're going to say Loc Rot. And then we change this, and if we scrub, this is called scrubbing, you can watch the movement of the camera. So you can see that as we come through, we almost miss everything, but we run our faces right into this steel plate and then chiller right here, which isn't good. So I'm just going to move that guy over there a little bit, hit I, Loc Rot again, and it looks like we miss it, which I like. Okay. And then if you hit the spacebar, it will attempt to play it in real time for you. Now if you notice up here this red text, that's saying frames per second is 10. So basically this is happening a lot slower than it actually will once it's rendered, so that's not fast enough. It's not giving a sense of how fast this camera is actually moving. So change it back over to solid and hit spacebar again, and you can see we're writing right at 30 frames per second. So for now, let's say we're happy with that. Let's keep going over here and move forward a little bit. So I'm going to hit G, and then I'm going to hit Z twice, and that moves me along the direction this object is already facing. And then I'm going to hit RZ, move it over here, and I'm going to hit I, Loc Rot again. So it basically makes the camera do that. It's probably a little slower than I want, so I'm going to move that, and then I'm going to move the camera over here and turn it around like this. That was GZZ again. RZ, rotate it. Hit I, location rotation again. And then I can see that it's doing this thing where it's like moving backwards and rotating at the same time. Probably too fast. Yeah, that'll make people sick. Yep, too fast too, so I'm going to select this one and this one and move both of them. Yeah, it's a little nicer. Coming in. So it's definitely not the smoothest motion. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to try actually... I'm going to try deleting this keyframe. It might smooth the whole thing out. A little bit smoother. Nah, but it goes through this now. So I'm going to hit Control Z a couple times until that keyframe comes back. Like this. Maybe if we go like that. Yeah. So as you can see, this is kind of like a lot of guessing and checking and seeing how it goes and fiddling with knobs and dials. There's no real right way to do this. If it makes your audience sick, or you can't tell what's going on, or it's too fast, that's generally bad. So just try to smooth things out. Okay, so we've done this, and then let's say from here, right here, we want to kind of pause the camera before we move it again. I can duplicate these keyframes. So I've got to select those, hit Shift D, pull them out. These bars right here indicate that there's nothing changing in between these two keyframes. So, boom, nothing's moving. And then, let's say I want to then pop up out of the roof. So I'm going to hit G, Z, go up, and then I'm going to hit R, X, X. So I hit X twice. That rotates it around like this axis right here. So, okay, so that's not quite far enough away. So I'm going to hit G, Z, Z. And that looks kind of nice. I'm going to hit I again, location rotation. And that's way too fast. I'm going to pull that out. Okay, I can live with that. And then I want to basically, from this bird's eye perspective, I'm going to rotate around the Z direction, so RZ, and I want to look at that stuff. Maybe move it a little bit. I hit I, location rotation again. So boom, pops up. Then, yeah, way too fast. Looks over. Maybe a little bit more. Cool. And then, kind of as a final thing, maybe I'll go up even higher. Kind of rotate back around like that. And hit RZ, XX again. Kind of get just for this, because like this is the whole mechanical deal right here. Hit I again, location rotation. Let's see how that flows. Boom. 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 And then maybe we want a little pause here and a little pause here. Boom. Pause. Boom. Pause. Pulls back up. Okay. And so you notice, well, that's good. Yeah. We've got our camera animated, and this could be a fun little clip. So in the next video, we'll talk about how to actually turn this into a video.